My final project for KSP 643 pertains to the evaluation and analysis of Merrill's 5-star model. Dr. Merrill's 5-star model. Dr. Werner David Merrill was born March 27, 1937. He received his bachelor's degree from Brigham Young University in 1961 and his master's and PhD from the University of Illinois in 1964. He's taught at the college level in many states over the past 4 decades. He's well known as a data consultant, educational psychologist, and educational technology leader. In 1989, he was selected as Person of the Year in Educational Technology by Educational Technology magazine. His list of accomplishments, honors, and professional publications is extraordinary. He acknowledges that innovations in technology are important. However, he's more concerned with how educators use what's innovative. He's focused on the principles more than he has on theoretical explanations. He wants real-world problem-based lessons to be effective, efficient, and engaging. He refers to these 3 words as E3 learning. What does Dr. Merrill's 5-star model look like? Well, it's the first principles of instruction, also the title of his latest book. It states that learning is promoted when learners are engaged in solving a real-world problem. Existing knowledge is activated as a foundation for new knowledge. New knowledge is demonstrated to the learner. New knowledge is applied by the learner. And lastly, new knowledge is integrated into the learner's world. The figure to the left is a nice description of the first principles of instruction. He feels that we need to show people what we are trying to teach them. When students are informed that they are going to be able to accomplish something they were not able to do prior to participating in a lesson, they will become motivated. They need an opportunity to practice what they've learned, and they need opportunities to apply themselves. Lessons need substance to keep the learners motivated, and that motivation comes from learning, when students are able to do something they weren't able to do before. Now, core principles of instruction require learners to demonstrate what they've learned about a real-world problem. Merrill feels that today's online courses violate his basic principles of instruction. Many of them do, not all of them. His goal is to have educators use this model so that students have genuine opportunities to learn. Now, when we take a look at the Addy model and Gagne's 9 events of instruction, there are similarities that present themselves with the first principles of instruction. I found it very interesting that Dr. Merrill considers Robert Gagne to be one of the 3 most influential people in his life. He actually told Dr. Gagne that his first book, Conditions of Learning, was a book that he wanted to write. He also was very fortunate in the fact that he got to read Dr. Gagne's manuscript before it was published in 1965. In 1989, Dr. Gagne and Dr. Merrill actually sat down for an all-day conversation to discuss their models at Utah State University. The event drew a crowd of over 200 people. The entire event has also been edited into 4 90-minute videos. Merrill insists that the event was a conversation and not a debate. They went on to be great friends. He also refers to Dr. Gagne as Bob. I also feel that Dr. Merrill's 5-star model addresses learning in a way that requires learners to correlate the information with real-world problems. Now, incorporating the first principles of instruction into a lesson, here's what I've decided to do. I've come up with a lesson which learners must connect multiple electronic devices to a flat panel television to view content from DVDs, VHS tapes, and a computer. Materials that are going to be needed are going to be televisions, remote controls, batteries, DVD, VCR players, possible Mac Mini computer, HDMI cables, RCA cables, and electronic power strip. Now, it's important that students know what materials are needed to accomplish the task, because this will help them when it comes to real-world situations. Principle number 2, existing knowledge is activated as a foundation for new knowledge. An example, learners understand various wires must be connected to transmit video, sound, and data between various devices. Learners also know that electricity is needed to power the devices. Moving on to demonstration. Principle number 3. New knowledge is demonstrated to the learner. Learners will be shown the difference between composite and HDMI cables, basically analog and digital cables, and where they need to be connected. The jacks on the back of the television, the jacks on the back of the VCR, DVD players, and the jacks on the computers. Line in, line out, HDMI. All the devices being used have these kinds of jacks. Students will also be shown how to switch the input devices on the television using the remote control. This moves us on to application. Principle number 4. New knowledge is applied by the learner. Learners will work in teams to use the supplied devices and cables to connect multiple devices to a flat panel television. Their combined efforts will result in the broadcast of televised content. Now, using the results of the learner's applied learning, I'll be able to assess to see if the lesson objectives were met and if they are meeting the criteria. Principle number 5, new knowledge is integrated into the learner's world. Learners may use their skills to create environments both at school and in their homes which will allow them to view content from various electronic devices. They will also have opportunities to grow their knowledge to accommodate for changes and enhancements that are made to audio and video devices. Dr. Merrill feels that it's important for students to collaborate and critique one another. There's a lot of growth that can take place when students and learners do that. He's also currently working on an article with Dr. Michael Allen for the next issue of Trends and Issues. It was very interesting learning about Merrill's 5-star model, and I really like it. I like what it conveys, and I feel that this model will be very beneficial in the teaching and learning environments that I'm a part of. I use many different resources for this project, as you can see. Some of them video, some of them text, some images. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate you viewing this broadcast.